One possible way the Israel-Iran war might end is that Iran carries out several high-profile military strikes on Israel, claims to have bloodied its enemy, and then quickly accepts a ceasefire under U.S. and international pressure, a face-saving surrender. This would be similar to what Iran's close ally Hezbollah did after Israeli strikes in late 2023, absorbing devastating blows to its military infrastructure, losing key leaders, and yet agreeing to a ceasefire largely on Israel's terms without launching a meaningful counterattack. Today, Iran may be in a comparable position. Its missile and drone attacks in 2024 fell flat. Its proxies, like Hezbollah, are shadows of their former strength, and Israeli strikes have likely created leadership chaos within Tehran's ranks. Though Iran is replacing commanders quickly, Israel is likely to strike the replacements just as fast. In this state of disarray, Iran may choose to survive now and fight later rather than endure relentless Israeli bombardment. A second possibility is that Iran manages to hang on and deliver a few symbolic blows, perhaps some missiles breaking through Israeli defenses or isolated acts of terrorism, while international pressure builds on Israel to halt the war. Iran's nuclear facilities, like Natanz, may be damaged but potentially repaired quickly. Traditionally, Israel enjoys initial support from the US and key European allies, but this often fades into calls for de-escalation. While Israel may ignore European voices like those of France and the UK, it is more sensitive to US influence, especially from President Trump. If Trump applies pressure, Israel may conclude its campaign early, believing it inflicted enough damage for now. Whether this leads to diplomacy is unclear. Trump, after the strikes, called for negotiations that closely resemble the 2015 nuclear deal he once rejected, saying Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left. Iran, desperate to ease sanctions amid economic collapse, might accept, but doing so under fire risks appearing weak. Trump would present Iranian concessions as a victory, and Iran's leadership would struggle with the optics of surrender. A darker scenario involves the conflict spiraling into a wider regional war. Iran has already threatened U.S. bases in the Middle East, and if it follows through, the U.S. might directly enter the fight. Israel and the U.S. already collaborate closely in air defense and intelligence, which may convince Tehran that Washington is effectively at war with them. Despite official U.S. denials of involvement in the Israeli strikes, Iran might see negotiations as a cover for planning. Trump publicly said attacks weren't imminent just hours before they began, possibly reinforcing Iran's suspicions. If that's the case, U.S. assets in the region could be targeted in what Iran sees as retaliation. Meanwhile, the U.S. may decide to escalate its role, especially if Israeli strikes have already degraded Iranian defenses. American forces might bomb underground nuclear sites like Fordow, aiming to finish the job. In response, Iran could activate its network of proxies in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen, targeting both Israeli and American interests, dragging Washington deeper into a regional conflict. Though less likely now, U.S.-aligned Arab countries could be drawn into the conflict as well. Jordan has already intercepted Iranian drones and missiles entering its airspace, just as it did earlier in 2024 when Iran attacked Israel. While Jordan can frame these interceptions as defensive, further U.S. involvement could lead to the use of American bases across the region, implicating several Arab nations in the fighting. A wider regional war becomes increasingly plausible if Iran's attacks extend to Gulf allies or the conflict spills over into border areas. Finally, it is possible that the war never formally ends. While Israel's large-scale airstrikes might pause, a long-term, low-level conflict could replace them. In this scenario, Israel would continue to target Iran with periodic missile strikes, sabotage operations, and assassinations, while Iran responds through indirect means, rocket attacks, cyber warfare, and terrorism. The result would be a forever war, not full-scale open conflict, but also far from peace. During this ongoing shadow war, Iran might secretly rebuild its nuclear program outside international inspections, citing Israeli aggression as justification. Unless Israel manages to destroy all three of Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles, Tehran could quietly move its program underground. This would set the stage for future crises. At the same time, Iran might engage in negotiations or ceasefires while plotting revenge, launching attacks months later to settle scores and prolong the conflict in a